Oi oi, CRT here today, and I'm bringing you another pickups video. I'm sorry this is much delayed, but as I previously mentioned in my videos, I struggled with keeping up motivation and making these videos, but I'm here to try again and to be more consistent. So I appreciate your patience in the meantime, but let's get into it. Okay, so first up I have Castle Quest for the original Game Boy. What picked my eyes on this is it's made by Hudson Soft, a relatively cheap pickup. I think it's like £10–12. This is a pretty cool game actually. It's basically chess but with RPG elements. It's like a battle chess. So rather than traditional chess where any piece can take another piece, when say a knight attacks a pawn, that's not a given that the pawn is taken off the board. If the numbers are rolled, which are RNG, the pawn could beat the knight. Now it is very slanted against knight being better in combat, but it's not a given that you will win. And there are multiple levels. Yeah, it's quite enjoyable, to be honest. Okay, next up is a Game Boy Color game called Micro Machines 1 and 2. Again, this was a relatively cheap pickup. I think it was like £4 or £5. Again, Micro Machines, I'm quite a fan of it. For those that don't know, it's a top-down racing game where the idea is that you have to knock your opponents off the board by racing faster than them. The maps are small, tiny and quick, fast-paced action. The Game Boy colour palette really lends itself well to this game type as well. There are different car types, boats, cars. Yeah, this is a pretty cool game actually on the Game Boy Color. I'm really impressed with that. Okay, so the next one is a Game Gear game. I don't often get these, and this is Spider-Man for the Game Gear. Essentially, this is a carbon copy of the Master System game, from what I can tell. You have 1 hour to complete the mission. Spider-Man sprites are really well animated, very large on the screen. The missions are nice and quick, and the storyline is pretty cool. It can be tough in some instances of the title, but yeah, I'm relatively impressed with this title, given how cheap it is. Sometimes the Spider-Man games on next-gen consoles can be really very expensive, but this wasn't one, so I'm quite pleased with that. Okay, so next up is an Xbox 360 game, Call of Duty 2. I've been buying these up over late now. I have fond memories of this Call of Duty game because it was a launch title for the 360. So it's one of the few titles that I did buy my 360 back in the day. There's not much to say about this Call of Duty in comparison to others. It's World War II. You play as the Americans. The gunplay and storytelling is very solid. It's not going to blow your socks off. I would say that it's a game that can only be completed in one very particular way. If you stray off the beaten path, you will just be mowed down by Germans. So it's got a very particular way that you should come across objectives and how you should play it. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay, next up is the first of some Switch games. So this is Wrath, Aeon of Ruin. Again, a cheap pickup. I think it was £12. What caught my eye is the back of the case, and it sort of looks like Quake graphics. And after playing it, plays very much like a cross between Quake and Doom. I think the common terminology these days is a boomer shooter. Yeah, and this is very much of that fast-paced, over-the-top gore, simple guns. I'm not too far into it, but what I've played so far is really enjoyable. And yeah, if you like what you've seen on the screen, I recommend this one because it's cheap. Okay, the next one is a remaster, but this is another Switch title, and this is Soul Reaver Legacy of Kain 1 and 2. This was about 30–40 quid. This is a pretty good value for money because you're getting 2 titles in one. And the real benefit of this is you're getting 2 amazing action RPGs that have been modernised and had some quality of life improvements like saving anywhere, more robust control system, the camera control is better, and it's got a real novel ability to be able to swap between original graphics and current graphics. So if you don't like how it looks and you prefer the nostalgia glasses of how it looked on the original PS1, then you can. Voice acting, storytelling is amazing for this title. Yeah, Soul Reaver is an amazing title, and you can't go wrong with this title. Very good value for money. Okay, next one up is a Mega Drive game called Crew Ball. Now, this is essentially as a pinball game for the Mega Drive. Pinball games are pretty cool on the Mega Drive, I'll be honest. The physics work well. You'd think not being able to see the whole screen or the whole board would be a detriment, but it actually plays really well. And if you didn't already tell by the title, it features music from Motley Crue throughout the game. Now, obviously, it's not a one-to-one CD quality type music, but it is close enough that if you're a Motley Crue fan, you're going to like this because of the music. Yeah, another cheap one as well. There's a theme with my pickups you'd be mostly getting. Okay, next up is an original Xbox game, and this is called Stubbs the Zombie. This also has a remaster for the last gen titles as well, if you're interested. Essentially, this is a third-person action title where you play a zombie that wakes up in a futuristic environment, and essentially you want to go about and try and reclaim your life. It's got really cool mechanics that every time you kill a person, they also become a zombie. So you just start off as you, and you slowly build up your group until there's like 10 of you running around. And the AI is pretty good. It will attack other bits, and you have different powers as well. Like you can take off your arm and walk around like the Thing, and then when you find another NPC, you can take control of them. So you then get ability to get guns. It's a very tongue-in-cheek type title, but I really enjoyed playing through this, and it's not too difficult as well, which is really sort of quite nice for those original games. Okay, next two are more modern titles that I don't tend to pick up very often, but the next one is RoboCop, and this one's the Unfinished Business. Now, essentially, this is DLC to the first RoboCop, but if you're a child of the 80s like I am, and you grew up watching RoboCop, it's just more of the same. Those cheesy lines that you grew up seeing with the original voice actor for RoboCop, and yeah, essentially it plays like The Raid, where you're in this locked-in tower and you have to kill all the baddies in it. Yeah, it just all the right sound cues, all the right nostalgia for being a RoboCop fan. They just added some more guns and more elements to this, but yeah, this legitimately could have been DLC. But thankfully this was a relatively cheap purchase, so it wasn't too bad of a purchase. Okay, and then the last one is a Switch 2 title called Donkey Kong Bonanza. Now, I'm not going to be showing any footage of this because I'm terrified of Nintendo taking down any of my videos. So you're just going to have to watch me for the next couple of minutes. Essentially, I picked this up, not because I'm a massive Donkey Kong fan, but because there's hardly any Switch 2 titles at the moment. And it did look pretty good. Now, I have completed it, and I would say I'm not quite as hyped as everyone else have been, it seems. Is it a good game? Yes. Does it deserve the perfect scores that people are giving it? No. The best way I've described this is it's more like Mario Odyssey 1.5, where instead of Mario throwing your hat on people and then gaining their abilities, Donkey Kong can just transform into different types of animals to gain their abilities. Now, obviously, the whole destruction mechanic is pretty cool. I found it interesting at first, but boring at late. I think my biggest gripe with the game is its cameras. It just doesn't know what to do when you're digging underground. And some of the times when you're navigating, the camera will just throw a fit, and that will cause you to fall off the edge. But yeah, a good game, but not what everyone's claiming to be like a masterpiece. It's good. It's worth a play. Wait for it to get cheaper. But yeah, that's it. That's my 10 pickups that I hope you enjoyed. If you've got any games that you picked up recently you'd like to tell me about, please leave it in the comments. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. But that's it for today. Thanks, guys.